Hi, living in Boulder Vlog, Tuesday the 20th of October 2021 at 8:46 p.m. I slept all day and I got up at like right around sunset. I got to sleep at about noon, so I slept maybe 6 hours. Didn't sleep that much, but I was working pretty much until I fell asleep. Like, yeah, I just couldn't go anymore. I didn't even have a shower. I just lied on my belly and yeah, I was out. That's the best. Those are the best days. Um, and I stopped at a very good stopping point. Um, I was, it was a part where I'm doing really simple work. Stuff I'm doing right now, because I was working for like an hour before I did the video, or a little bit more. I I'm building the Exceed 4000. I'm yawning and I just got up. There's no escaping the yawning. The Exceed 4000, it's called the Exceed 4000 because it's 4,000 meters high, which is 4 kilometers, which is 2.5 miles. It's built, it's kind of, picture the Eiffel Tower, only it's really short, squat Eiffel Tower. They had to make it short and squat so it would be stable because it's not so big. But it has 12 beams, 12 solid structures that go up the side. And then it has 12 rings. 12, 12. They're all about the 12s. So I'm going to make a 12 gradient average road to the top. And if you do that, it's 33.33 kilometers. And I made the top at 12th the diameter is the bottom, 6 kilometers to 500 meters. Even though the image that I looked at, I guess the official Exceed 4000, the top diameter is 420 meters. I would have liked to have 420 meters, but I just couldn't escape. Because then I could make it all marijuana themed on the top of the building. But I just couldn't escape maintaining the 12. 12 beams, 12 rings, 12%, 12 ratio. I had to go for the 412s because that's 1/3 of 12. Which is, 33.1/3 of 100 kilometers is the way up. Plus it's 133 kilometers, levels on the beams. But on the rings, I have it per floor. It's 4,000 kilometers, and they said it, because this isn't my idea, the way they did it. 5 meters of floor on that building, which is 800 floors. So that's 133 levels with the rings, because the rings, it's not rings all the way up. Otherwise it wouldn't be rings. It would be just the cone. So it was 24 levels per ring. So that's 24 rings I have to do. There's a lot of steps having to do with that, by the way. I had to build it on its side in order to know what shape it is, the numbers, You measure up how high, and then you measure out how far out, so that I can then duplicate it when I build it up. And so that's 2 steps. And then you have to go and measure it again from the center out, 3 steps, 2 steps to build it, the eventual, right? Because you have to go up and then out. Not counting all the creating the whole thing, but on the side. But, and then, and then you have to make the ring around it, like trace the circle. And then you have to trace the final step. You have to trace off the circle. Well, actually, that's not the final step. You have to trace your polygon tool, KMZ file, off of that circle. And then you have to measure another circle that's far enough down, for the width of the platform. And then trace that. So that's 7 steps. So what I did yesterday, because I was testing the first level, I did all 24 of the levels, but I made it 100 meters wide. Because I just guessed. I thought that was wide enough. I mean, the widest building we have now is only about 25 meters wide. That's the width of Versailles. That's so that, you know, you have a hallway and then you can have two big buildings on either side and they get to have their windows. Can't make buildings that are so big that nobody has a window because there's no circulation. Everybody die of the influenza. And, you know, their skin would fall off. So, 100-meter wide building is big enough. But but then I decided to do it a different way because I couldn't have it the same width throughout because as I looked at it from the top, you know, and when I looked at the model from the top, from this, you know, the first tracing I did, it was just a video from the top and all of the rings were the same width, but you know, that's impossible because they get smaller, it gets steeper and they get smaller as you go up. So I was looking at it from the top because I had traced it. And so I actually knew how wide they were and I measured it. Yeah, so there's 12 of them, 20 meters for the first one, 25, no. And it's in increments of 15, 20, 35, 20, 30 for the first ones, 45, 60, 75, 90, 105, 120, 135, 160, and then 175 out. And that's about how far out it is. 1,688 is where the first ring starts. So it gets uniformly constant ratio less thick as you go closer to the center. But and it works out really conveniently that if you look at it from the top, it pretty much doesn't have any area where if water came in, it would actually get to the bottom because the levels, you know, they go up as it goes up. And even though it's farther, but lot farther below, or the top level of one ring is a lot farther below than the bottom level of the ring above it. But it's enough in that the inner part of the ring is like just about the same distance in as the bottom ring of the one above it. So if the water comes and falls down off the top ring, it would fall and then land. It wouldn't land down on the floor. It would land on the ring below it. And they all seem like that. I mean, they all work like that. They're not uniform the way that they fit together. But, you know, the ones on the bottom, there's actually a gap. I think the two ones on the very bottom, which is fine because you want open space and area. But then as you get up above, one of them is a little bit farther in, but they're basically like even. So it works. It's going to look great. It works out great. I like it. And so, yeah, I didn't have that figured out. You know, like yesterday when I made the first ring, I just made it 100. So now what I'm doing is, and I was only eyeballing it too, and it looked fine from the bottom, but I think I got lucky. So now I'm doing it even better because I want it to look good, like be quality on the bottom too. Because when you look up, because I'm going to make a big city on the bottom. When I look up at it, I want it to look good and uniform. So, so right now what I'm doing is I'm just getting I made the ring all the ground again. So which means I have to recolor them everything, but that's only 24 to reheight and recolor. But actually, I don't even think I might not have to reheight them. You just hit altitude and it goes back up. I'll have to go and look. But I have to recolor them. Anyway, oh yeah, but the way that I decided on how wide to have them was just to look at them. And I just made the platform as wide as how far, you know, one of them started from the other one. And so, you know, as they go in. So I think it's all beautifully uniform like that, like a perfect square. Also, the bottom platform, which is, I moved it up to 180 meters wide. Yeah, because that's what I said, 180 meters wide. It's 180 meters off the ground. So that's cool. You know, and one of the platforms, the top of the platform is 2.4 kilometers high. One of them is 2.1 kilometers high. One of them's 3 kilometers high. So it's in even increments on those two. But yeah, so right now what I'm doing is just, you know, I had them all go to the ground on the bottom level. And then I'm just measuring 180 meters in, you know, with a circle tool. I'll just go in the middle, stretch a circle out, and then I just drag, you know, the platform down to it. And I'm down to I just finished 11, so I have to do 12 through 24 of the first platform. And then I I think 6 in the second one. So I have to do that same thing, redo the 6 in the second one. And then I'm caught up to where I, was before on the screwed up and just kind of jumped in head first before I thought about how thick I, realized I needed different thicknesses. I think my original idea was the bottom 3 at 100 and then, the middle, the next 3 at 160, 183 and the next 3 at 166 and then the next 3 at 150 and then the next one at like 133, but no, I wanted a more incremental up, so I'm happy I did the way I did. I'm 100% quality. It's like an exact replica. I saw after, I looked at the official, side image of it, and, I looked at it, but then I checked it that somebody made it on SketchUp. And I was checking it out on SketchUp, and SketchUp, it has an inner Eiffel Tower. It's like an Eiffel Tower, big Eiffel Tower, and then a little mini Eiffel Tower on the inside, I guess, to help the structure. That's not what I'm going to do. That's not what the original one that I looked like had. It looked hollow. The one that I'm going to make is hollow, because I'll just justify it as they had stronger materials, building materials, plastics, than what the Japanese thought in 1986. But mainly so I can have the room to build a city on the inside, and it's going to look really cool to look up the room, because I have some ideas about that. But I was looking at it on SketchUp, and they also have this on the top of after the rings, they have this like crisscross, these big, huge crisscrosses, and I didn't see that in the other models. There's like completing models, but it doesn't look as pretty, and I wouldn't want to do that anyway. It wouldn't look good the way that I have it on, with very pixelated by level polygon tool. So after, when I build my third level, what I'm going to do is, trace out the level. And of course it's going to be a little bit, complicated because I have to meticulously make them go smaller in. And, and they only go in by the meter or by the half meter at the top, but they're a smaller circle, it gets easier. But, and so I trace that in, and then I'll just kind of guess. I'll just trace it down, or the first one, I'll do it with 100 meters down that I measure. And then, every one after that, I just trace the part until it kind of bumps into the 100 meters. And then I'll go and just do that separately, drag them down to make them 100 meters or whatever, how many meters thick the platforms are after that. So hopefully by today, and it's super easy what I'm doing, so I can listen to stuff. I was listening to Lex Friedman interviewing all sorts of scientists, so that's cool. But I'm a little bit, pressured to finish this, so it's like my concentration is 100%. It's a good thing I'm smoking weed. That's why, like, what I'm doing is super time consuming, because there's all those levels, 333 of them that I have to make, with two circles. So that's going around a circle 666 times, and these are, each of the circles, I can't remember how many of the nodes I have to hit, but it's like 50 each or something, see, right? So 666 times 50, that's how many different, just for the levels, which hopefully I'll be done today, the rings. And then after that I can build a structure out of the, the beam structure, and then I can, it's pixelated because I did it in just the circles. So I'm going to have to kind of piece them together like Legos. I can make them different colors. I just got that idea because of that. That'd be cool. I should try that. Not like maybe to make it look kind of cool from the bottom, because you couldn't really, yeah. Anyway, but because the bottom platform is 180 meters, that means it's big enough to put the Burj Khalifa on it, because that's 166 meters wide. So I might do that, because when you see the models of it, it's empty on the top, but when they build it, they're going to decorate it and put buildings up on the top of it. It's like a giant mountain. So I'm going to, I would like to build buildings, like real duplicates of real buildings, really real life. That's the only kind of buildings I do, real life, because then I can link it, to the real webpage or whatever, Wikipedia article, other models of it. But buildings all the way around all of the levels. Now that'd be really time consuming. So I might only do the parts of the levels where the road goes by, to add perspective to that. But I also want to build the inside, I mean, there's a lot to put on the top platform and then on the bottom. The bottom is the size of it's 18.75 kilometers. The circumference Aurelian Wall of Rome is 19 kilometers. The top is 1.5 kilometers. The Romulan Rome is 1.5 kilometers. So, anyways, the top, I had the idea of having a microcosm of the building. So the building with all those skyscrapers, the building's exceeds about 15 times bigger than a skyscraper. 4,000 meters is about 15 times bigger than 330 meters, which is how big the Eiffel Tower is. And so a 33 meter high building, which is this model that I made here in Boulder to represent the bike racer levels, and a 2 meter tall person staying on it is 1/15 smaller. It's about the same ratio as the Eiffel Tower on top of the XC4000. So you have the XC4000 with these little people, little skyscrapers on the top of it, and on top of it you have this other building with these little people standing on top of it. And so, but that's going to be on a platform. But then there's going to be 4 walkways to get to it, and then in between the walkways are going to be these big open areas. I'm sure you've seen it before in like video games and buildings. People design stuff like that. The platform in the middle, and so that you can look down on those big holes and see the bottom. That's going to be really cool, especially when you're standing on top of the building. Look down through and into the bottom below all the buildings. And then in the bottom, it's going to be kind of a mirror of the top up there. You're going to have the Pyramid of Giza in the middle, and then it's going to be surrounded by a lake of water that's the same shape, only it's bigger, or maybe the same shape and size. Depends on how big the Pyramid of Giza is, because it has to fit that. But at least the same shape as the air areas, to look down on the top. Those are lakes now below, and then they have like radiating rivers that go out from the middle, and maybe I could have it like spiral out. That would be trippy. And then have the roads radiate in and then the water spiral out. I just got that idea right now. Anyway, and so that lake though is fed by a waterfall, because this building is basically like a mountain, meaning when it rains a lot, it's gonna create rivers, dude, just like a fucking mountain, or maybe constant rivers, right? So you're gonna have this like their flood plan when it's super raining. You have the water funnel all the way, and I'll make a little like lake on the side of the building, and then it funnels in this big tube into the center, and then it makes a circular waterfall that surrounds the Great Pyramid of Giza before it flows out in the spiral, maybe double spiral. I don't know, yeah, in the spirals. Yeah, man. So and then I want to put all these other big buildings to fill it up, because you could put all the biggest buildings. Oh yeah, all the big concept skyscrapers inside of it, because they'll fit. And make some kind of cool interior there, and it's complete with nature with the big lake and the waterfall. And then I'll put, like, I'm going to put forests of evergreen trees. I mean, redwood trees, the biggest trees ever, on the side and in the inside. Anyways, that's what I thought of now. I should put a big wall of vines right next to a lake, and people can climb up the vine, and if they fall off it, they land in the lake, and make it like crazy high too, like 1,000 feet high or something. I don't know. Anyways, I was hoping that I'd be done by Sunday, but that gets detailed. So maybe I'll be done by level 1 of it by Sunday. Who knows? But at least the structure by Sunday. So, but I mean, if I'm like super excited, I'm like crazy, like, whoa, this is awesome. I could see myself going another week, because this thing is super interesting because, like I was building Atlantis, which is the ultimate circular city, and circular structures are fascinating because they have all sorts of advantages that square ones don't, and we haven't utilized that yet. Not enough buildings, and especially cities, are built circularly. For example, in Atlantis, if you want to go anywhere in Atlantis, and this is a city of 2 million people, it's got a diameter of like 20 kilometers or more. Like if you want to go anywhere in the city, like if you want to give somebody directions, it's just 2 turns. You go up here 65 blocks, you take a right, and then you go 27 blocks. That's it. That's how it's structured. There's no up here and then that way. I guess theoretically you could do that with a square. Yeah, I guess theoretically you could do that with a square. But it gets ruined when you build parks and stuff. That always gets in the way, and then it fucks you up. You can build parks in the circular city in between them, and it doesn't. But the other cool thing about it is like you could leave your room and ride down a road, not make a single turn, and then end up right at your house again without making a turn. You just go around the circle. And then and it's all the same distance. It's all a unified distance. And if you want to do that same circle at a different distance, you just go do it from a different road, And also the view of the downtown is always the same. Everybody gets the exact same view of downtown. They get the exact same view of the central big skyscraper, because it all radiates like spokes into the center. Anyways, but there's also lots of crazy advantages to round buildings too. Magical stuff having to do with round buildings, especially something that big, We're having to do with the views of course, the navigation. And when I look at this building, this model, I think to myself, this is a timeless structure. Like those Japanese, they thought of something, the building, the only building that they could build if they could. Well, then if there's humanoids in other parts of the universe, which that there are, they would have thought the same thing. They would have designed that building. And then a lot of those people actually would have designed that building. So when I'm looking at this design, I'm looking at a timeless design of an actual building that does exist. Like when you're looking at Macedon, you're looking at an actual building. I mean, Animal, it doesn't exist now, but that it does exist in the past. This building does exist somewhere. And so I think it's cool. Maybe in the future on the Earth, we actually will build this building. So it's beautiful to look at because when I'm looking at it, I feel like I'm looking at something that's real, something that's breathing and has like a soul and like memories and people like in actual reality. Like if I look at it and I study it, I'm actually gonna like teleport my mind to another dimension and like telepathically communicate with the people who live in those buildings. I think they've even been building like movies about that theme. So yeah, I can't wait to build this building. And even to design it, I get to design a whole city myself. And I want to do like Roman structures inside too because it's the same exact size as Rome. It's just for perspective. I'm gonna put the Colosseum in there. I think the Circus Maximus too. Yeah. Anyways, enough talking over 21 minutes. Hopefully, I'll be done by Sunday. I'll at least have the version that I'm working on for download on my front page of my website by Sunday. Alrighty, talk to you tomorrow.